Hello there, welcome to Talking Balearics with me, Martin Makepeace, here in a very warm, sunny, hot Ibiza.
And me, Richie Pye, here in Mallorca, doing exactly the same as our friends in Ibiza. Yeah, warm, Mark.
I heard today that it's slowed down a little bit from a good source, saying it's got a bit quieter. I don't know what it's like over there, Rich. I think we had such a busy April and May that June's just tailed off a little bit.
Actually, Mark, I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah,
I've heard it from a couple of restaurants, actually, that I've been talking to over the weekend. And they said exactly the same, to be honest with you. But I think it's probably just the calm before the storm.
Yeah, I think so,
World
Rich.
Cup fever does sometimes hinder people's travelling thoughts. Let's see how we're going to get on in the first game. And then go from there.
Well, as you see, I'm sporting my England top today, Rich. So
Very
obviously,
good.
and I've just I ordered a couple this week as well. I've just ordered the Palace. It's a skateboard brand. You know, I mean, you're obviously a skateboarder, Rich, aren't you? Look at you. I mean, you've done your skateboarding time.
Of course. fallen off a few times about that.
They're doing this kind of collaboration. I mean, when it comes to kit, I mean, you know, I know a little bit about kit these days, but they're really kicking the arse out of it this year. I tell you, listen, every day there seems to be a new kit that you can buy. Then obviously I'm buying it, of course. So, but anyway, that's enough about the football. We'll talk about that briefly when we come to the main podcast. This is Talking Balearics with me, Martin in Ibiza, Richie in Mallorca, where we talk about the beautiful Balearic Islands. So please like, comment, and subscribe. Richie, what do you have for me this week, please?
Well, I was actually part of what I was going to talk about was the actual sort of quieterness of the resorts. I mean, I'm going to be commenting on sort of Palma Nova, Magaluf, Santa Ponsa, my areas of where I sort of live and work, etc. So I was going to comment on that, but then I was also going to comment on the how Mallorca's changed and still changing actually, and becoming more and more international. Wanted to talk about that.
Yeah,
I think. Well, listen, World Cup fever has hit Mallorca. I don't know if it's hit Ibiza, but I know it's hit sort of pretty much every country. So I wanted to talk about Spain's performance last night, Mark, and a great story that's come out of the World Cup from the Cape or the Cape Verde goalkeeper.
Yeah,
wanted to talk about him because that's a great story.
It was, wasn't it? He had a game of his life, mate, didn't he? Really
yeah,
good.
I got some Real Mallorca news as always.
So it's just football, and football, Rich, is it?
Yeah, come on, Mike. Listen, it's World Cup fever.
You know, it's amazing, Rich. You know, sometimes we do this podcast and I'm really scratching around for things to talk about because there's just nothing happening. You know, those slow news weeks in the winter where we manage to get a pod out of very little, but it's not one of those weeks, Rich. There's literally I could do 10 subjects today, Rich. It's all happening in the beach at the moment. So, I mean, good and bad, but I've just picked out a few. First of all, big news over here at the moment was an illegal party that they've closed down, which I'm going to talk about. And I've got a few messages from our listeners saying you must include it on the podcast. So I was going to already, but it's a very interesting story. And you know, it poses a few questions which I want to talk to you about, Rich. Secondly, there's also a report this week about some minicab drivers, which is quite concerning. I blogged about it. I did a last-minute blog on it because I got sent a link and I thought it was worth a blog. And I've got a lot of feedback online as well about it. So I'm going to talk about that. Also, we've got the British Vice Consulate, the British Consulate in Ibiza today and yesterday, I think, doing the rounds. Just want to briefly talk about that. And also, lastly, my favourite rant, a Marty moan, or as Jeff Peter was to say, a Marty moan about the West End renaming. But they've come up with a few good names, Rich. I think, you know, you do your top 10, don't you, Rich? I'm going to do my top 8, okay, today, which of the names suggested, which, let's face it, they're not going to use them, but I thought they were quite amusing, Rich. So first of all, Rich, I don't think it's just World Cup, but why do you think we've just gone down a little bit of busyness in June or middle June? What's your gut feeling, mate?
Well, if you're talking from a UK market point of view, obviously the UK's had great weather, which does affect people's travelling habits. You know, if you've got good weather in the UK, why travel abroad? I would always say, no, we've said this all the time. Where would you rather be, Café Del Mar, you know, on the Bay of Ibiza, or down in Palma or Magaluf on the bay there, or in the centre of Birmingham and 34 degrees? I know where I'd rather be. And no offence to Birmingham, of course, because the Bullring's very nice this time of year, I'm hearing. But anyway, it's That's definitely having an effect. And I think the World Cup does have an effect on people. They're sort of waiting to see, obviously England haven't played yet. We're sort of 4 or 5 days in, aren't we? And England haven't played a game. We're recording this on Tuesday, so that England play tomorrow night. So I think once England have played, then maybe people will start thinking about doing a bit of travelling. I don't know about you, Mark, but I mean, you're more travel minded than me, but I was tempted to possibly get on a plane and go and watch an England game actually in America, but I don't think I will now. Do you know what I mean? Unless we start getting, close to possibly, because obviously I do a little traveling with Arsenal these days, probably more than I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, but Rich, there's a bit of a difference. I usually go and watch the games. You just stand around in the pubs outside of the games these days, don't you, Rich? So
Yeah, but Mark, you've got to remember you're a lot more connected than I am. Do you know what I mean? I'm just the what am I? I'm the wise to your Morecambe, or well, I'm not in a comedy point of view. Do you know what I mean? I'm just talking,
the Waldorf and Statler of the Balearics, as someone told me the other day, mate.
That's us.
The Gogs, the grumpy old guys. Fingers crossed, Rich. I'm hoping to get over to the States at one game, but I'm not going to count my chickens because you just don't know where we're going to go. Is it going to be Mexico City? Is it going to be Miami? Is it going to be New York? I mean, I was lucky enough to go over for the whole of the Qatar tournament, and it was such a fantastic tournament, Rich, where you were literally seeing 2 or 3 games a day over there. Whereas obviously this time round, it's in Miami, it's in Dallas, it's in Atlanta, it's in Vancouver, it's in Mexico City. But I've got to say, the stadiums look amazing. I've watched all the matches so far, or just the highlights, and the stadiums look amazing. But I'm hoping to get over. But I think the islands have just had a bit of a dip, and I think they always do. I always think, Rich, the last week of June and the first week of July are I wouldn't say quiet times, but they're just a little bit more relaxed, because it really is, as you rightly said, it's the calm before the storm. I think we have such a busy April and May. I think we've actually we've smashed it out of the park. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I did read an article. I probably should have been more prepared, but I read an article this week saying Ibiza had 1 million arrivals in May. I might be wrong, but I'm sure I read an article this week, which is unheard of, Rich. So we've had such a busy April, we've had such a busy May. There was going to be a dip there, because we know what July always is going to be like, Rich, don't we? It's going to be carnage, for want of a better word, because it always is. So listen, I haven't got a problem with it. I think some restaurants and some bars, I've said it a few times, I think they're over-relying on World Cup fever. I think they are, because there's not that many people to go around, Rich. You can't fill every single bar all the time. So I think there'll be a few upset people out there. But, bring it on. I think the atmosphere in the sunshine is always great when the World Cup was on. I was lucky enough to be celebrating when Spain won the World Cup in 2010. I mean, it's probably the closest we're ever going to get to winning a World Cup, mate, isn't it? So, I was lucky enough to be around that, and I was looking at some videos from the other day, and the atmosphere abroad is such a fantastic atmosphere. And I watched the Spain game with all my Spanish friends last night, which was interesting because I was shouting for Cape Verde, obviously, but it was great, mate. I enjoyed it, and there's no one loves a World Cup more than me, mate. That's the thing. But I think it does have an effect.
Yeah, well, maybe we should talk about the World Cup then. Was particularly obviously Spain's performance last night. Let's sort of segue into that, Mark, because
is that to do with the Balearics then, Rich? Is it?
Spain. We are part of Spain, aren't we? You know what I mean? Balearic, Spain. We are part of it.
Listen, you can turn any talking point into a football, mate. You can't you? It's really a talent.
I think it. Listen. Obviously, a lot of people have said about the World Cup, it's 48 teams. There's too many teams. There's too many smaller teams. There's going to be a lot of teams that get a good gubbing, as Curacao did the other day against Germany. But when Curacao equalised against Germany, I was up off my sofa. It's going unbelievable. And, that was great. But then, you watched last night that, Spain absolutely just struggled to beat a team of, not part-timers, because they all play, a professional football, but the goalkeeper was unbelievable. 40 years of age, plays in the Portuguese second division, and had an absolute worldie. And listen to this, Mark. This is you're not going to find a better fact than this. When he left the dressing room yesterday, to play in that game, he had 20,000 followers on Instagram. Okay, right now, guess how many he's got?
I don't know, 200,000.
So he started on 20,000. You say 200,000.
Yeah.
He's now got 8.7 million.
Wow.
On his Instagram.
He'll be making more money from Instagram than he will for football straight away, won't he?
Mark,
that's his life done.
My son was following it last night, and my son said to me, Dad, he started at 20,000. He's now got 2 million. Overnight, it went to 5.5 million. This morning, I looked at it this morning on the radio. It went to 6 million. And I've just literally looked at it now. It's 8.7 million. Can you imagine all the messages he's got on his phone?
He's 40 as well, isn't he, Rich? I mean,
he's 40. It's a great story, Mark.
I think the World Cup, it's so powerful, Rich. We work in media, don't we? Or we've been in media. You work on the radio. And, the World Cup just resonates across the world. It really does. It's just one of those things where I think it's been a slow start. It's been a slow start because of the 48 teams, and Spain are notorious slow starters in the tournaments, Rich.
True.
But they're very strong finishers, and it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So listen,
exactly.
It'll be Spain, France, England, Germany, at the end, mate. I think it's or you might get a South American team there, but I watched the Morocco game the other day and I thought they were fantastic as well, Rich. I thought Egypt were good. I thought Ecuador were really good, even though they lost to a last minute goal. So I'm really up for this World Cup, and watch it in the sunshine in Ibiza. Or in the night time, it just makes it even better, doesn't it? So
yeah, and I don't know if your Spanish friends are the same as mine, but they can't really take a joke, Mark.
No, they can't. No. When I walked in the bar singing Cape Verde last night or Cabo Verde, they weren't very happy, man.
The text messages that I sent out last night weren't well received.
No, let's put it this way: Spanish take their football very, as we all do, but they take it very seriously, don't they?
They do.
The thing is, where are you watching tomorrow night, Rich? Just a quick one.
I'm probably going to watch it at home.
Yeah, Mark, I think I am as well.
To be honest with you, because I'm at the, this is two grumpy old gits now. Here we go. I'm at the stage that I don't really want beer thrown over me, obviously, if we score a goal. Do you know what I mean? I'm not at that stage anymore. Although, listen, it was great. When I was watching Arsenal in London, it was fantastic. Do you know what I mean? You want your team to do well.
I'm like you, though, mate. I like to watch at home in my own little space and focus on the football. When you watch in the bar, you've got too many people shouting at you, haven't you? And
exactly. If they progress and, it starts to get a bit lively, then I might go, I might venture out and watch a couple of games out and resort. Do you know what I mean? But right now, no, it's going to be at home for me.
I've actually got some mates flying in today who are coming for 3 days to watch the football. So that's good, isn't it? They're coming over to here to watch.
And I think a lot of people will start doing that. You'll start getting, football tourists. That's what they are. Do you know what I mean? I do think people will suddenly, the weather only has to have 2 days of rain in the UK, and all of a sudden people are going, "Oh, hang on a minute." Do you know what I mean?
The weather in the UK just matters so much, doesn't it? When as soon as it's sunny over there, and it's been really great, hasn't it? And sun, it just stops people in their tracks, especially the last minute bookings there as well.
Totally.
Let's talk about this Villa party. Have you heard about this Villa party, Rich? I mean, it's been it's been on all the news over here, on the news channels over here, and it's unraveling. The story's unraveling. So what happened was last week, I think it was the middle of last week, about this time last week, the police were alerted to a Villa party. They went and they didn't find a Villa party, Rich. They found a full-on music festival. Now, there was 1,000 people in the countryside. Right? I mean, this is bizarre, right? There was 1,000 people there, right? If you look at it, I mean, how do the other authorities? They must have known about it, Rich, because you can't move 1,000. So. You can't move 1,000 people, can you? Really, it's bizarre, but it throws up a lot of questions. And the latest is that it was paid for by a millionaire. He threw a private party because he wanted to have a big bash. But if you look at the details, there was shuttle buses, there was ambulances there was stages. They even had a carousel there, Rich. I mean, come on. I mean, I kind of get the idea that maybe the people who organise it thought they had the right licenses. I might be talking out of turn here, but I can't believe it, that you think you can organise an illegal party in the middle of the Ibiza countryside for 1,000 people and get away with it. And it was advertised as a 22-hour festival as well. So it's really strange. Now, the biggest interesting point to come up of it, Rich, because we know that ever since COVID, illegal parties have been everywhere. That was the thing. You couldn't dance in the discotheque, so they took it to the illegal parties in villas.
To the discotheque?
Yeah,
Hello?
Yeah, no. Discoteca. The discotheque, yeah, is what we call them over here, mate. Discotecas. So it really became popular. But the latest thing now, and I think this is a really important point. What the government have said now is they've said, well, listen, these big DJs, Seth Troxler was due to play on it, yeah? And he's a big name. He's a big name. He will probably cost 30, 40, 50,000 euros for a night, maybe. Now, what they've said now is if these DJs play these illegal parties, they're going to go on a blacklist. Okay. And the blacklist means that they won't be able to play anywhere else. If you're a DJ, you say, well, I was just booked and I went to play, I didn't know. They're saying, no, that's not good enough anymore. And I think this is a fantastic idea, because if you're a DJ and you get found to be playing in a illegal rave or a legal party, then you're on a blacklist and you can't then play in Ibiza for quite a while or forever. And I think it just puts the pressure onto the DJs to take an interest. I think a lot of them just, they just turn up and collect the money, put the memory stick in, and away they go. So I think it's a real novel way of looking at it. And I think Ibiza has said, listen, enough's enough. This is probably the straw that broke the camel's back. It was in rustic land. It was a villa which wasn't legal because it was advertised as legal. So it's opened up a real can of worms. And I've not seen a reaction like this for a long time. The Ibiza government are really pushing back against it. And I think that they'll say they're going to ban DJs. If you're a DJ, your reputation is everything, isn't it? Because without your reputation, you're not playing anywhere. So at the end of the day, I think it's a great thing. And the story keeps going, Rich.
And at what point was it closed, Mark? Was it at the beginning, the middle, the end?
I think so. I think what happened, by looks of it, because there are videos online of the actual party, and I got to tell you, it looked quite good, Rich, to be honest. I wouldn't have minded.
You get an invite.
I wouldn't have been minded being in the mosh pit there, but it looked good. I mean, it looked good. But of course it was. Listen, it was professional. This wasn't a private villa party, Rich. This was either business or someone who's got too much money or far much more money than sense. So I think it got closed down pretty early because, I mean, how do you expect to do 22 hours in the countryside on a festival? So I think there's more to come with this story, Rich. And I think whoever organised it who might have been under the impression that they paid off the right people and they sorted the right paperwork, but they didn't. So I'm going to blog about it tomorrow as well. So I think it's an interesting point. It throws up a lot of questions, which I like the debate that's going on.
Now, we've talked about Mallorca becoming more international, and obviously with different flights, we've had a flight in Mallorca particularly. We've had a flight coming in from New York for about 3 or 4 years now, direct from Newark, I think it is, or JFK, one of the two. But last week, Etihad Airways launched their Abu Dhabi flight direct into Mallorca. As of tomorrow, which is Wednesday tomorrow, today's Tuesday, as of tomorrow, Air Canada start their flights direct from Montreal into Mallorca. So we're looking at, flight companies opening up the airways from all over the world to basically to Mallorca. I think it's a fantastic thing. And I imagine, Mark, you'll probably see yourselves also, because people could then hop themselves across to Ibiza, whether they want to go on the ferry or just get a flight across to Ibiza from this country as well. Because a lot of Americans, and I've spoken to quite a few of them this particular year, are doing, for instance, they're going to Barcelona, then they're coming on a plane to Mallorca, or they're going to Ibiza or whatever. So if they're coming directly to Mallorca, I would imagine quite a lot of people will want to go and see the other islands as well while they're here. Well,
they do. The Americans do that as well, don't they? They fly into Barcelona and Madrid and they go around the islands. And I think Mallorca and Ibiza are very contrasting places. So I think it's like that. Rich, who do you think is going to come over? I mean, is it for people from the Emirates to come over to Mallorca, or is it people from Mallorca to go over to the Emirates? How is it going to work, do you think?
I think it's a two-way street. Do you know what I mean? I mean, that's obviously what's happened from the American point of view.
Yeah.
And, it's just opening us up to, the Middle East. And obviously we've had problems in the Middle East, as we know, and touch wood, it looks like there might be some sort of an agreement happening this week between America and Iran. So that hopefully that will calm that area down as well, which will help obviously this particular flight. And then Montreal, I mean, once again, I've met quite a few Canadians here this year as part of some of the work I've been doing. And they're lovely people, the Canadians.
Yeah, great people. They're nice Americans, aren't they? That's what they are. Just like you said that. Just like the Kiwis are nice Aussies, the Canadians are nice Americans.
No, but I've found the Canadians to be, such good fun,
really
such good fun and nice people as well. So yeah, I see it as a two-way street. Gives the majority of residents. If you're working in the summer, you're not really.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I mean, if you're in the sunshine in Ibiza, why would you go to the searing heat of the Emirates in Abu Dhabi in the summer? So, but on the other side, Rich, I think you might get some cheap fares.
Yeah, of course. I think so as well, because they don't want to fly it back empty, of course. Do you know what I mean? So I think listen, what I'm trying to say basically is that it's opening Mallorca up to an international audience, a much bigger international audience we've ever seen. And weirdly enough, I was looking at hotels for somebody the other day, and I know you talked about this, the price of rooms, etc., per day has gone up and up and up. And, you're looking at a hotel room in Magaluf and Palmanova. You're gonna be lucky to spend under €200 now per night per room. So that's the way it's going.
I think we were 320. I think our average was 320, Rich. I think in the summer. So
this is basically for this week, Mark. Do you know what I mean? And this week, the second week of June, and you're still looking at 200 plus. For a room per night, which and as you know, most hotels now in Magaluf, in particular, in Palmanova, are 4 and 5 stars. About 80% of the hotels are 4 and 5 stars. The resort has changed dramatically over the last 10 years.
I was out in Ibiza town on Saturday, I had a friend over, and we were wandering around town, and they said to me, there's a lot of American voices out there, isn't there? I mean, I never even mentioned it. I said, probably because they speak the loudest, by the way. Hello to all my American friends. It's really noticeable that the North Americans are really, I mean, and they're travelers, aren't they, North Americans? They want to see. And I think we're definitely we're on the route, aren't we? We're on the circuit, should I say. I think, they come over for maybe, 3 or 4 weeks and do a bit of Europe. And I think we're definitely on that circuit. So, yeah, it's interesting. But it's funny how Mallorca is just opening up for all over the world now, though, isn't it? 10 years ago, we never had this, did we, Rich?
No, definitely not. And it would have been unheard of, really. But I think you'd have got laughed at if you'd have said that, I'm bringing in a flight from America, or, on a weekly basis or a daily basis as it is now. Do you know what I mean? Likewise, Abu Dhabi and Canada. I think it's fantastic. And listen, it's all about diversity. It's all about change and everything else. And that's, we can't stand still, but we talked about this in many, many occasions. You know what I mean? We've got to change with the world, because the world is being opened up by these airlines flying to all these different destinations. So we can't just stand still. We've got to prove that we are a number one destination for people. And we've said it countless amount of times. The Balearics is central part of Europe. So, from any European city right now, we're a 2-hour flight from most areas. Do you know what I mean? So it's going to be a popular destination. And as long as we do it right, we keep our sustainability good and everything else, then long may it continue.
I think that's, especially Ibiza. I think Mallorca probably not quite as much as Ibiza, but I think, as you said, we change so often. I go to resorts, some other resorts in the world. I won't mention them, or should we say Costa Brava, Salou, Gran Canaria, and they haven't changed for years. I went to Barbados a couple of years ago, and it hasn't changed. And in many ways, it's reassuring. But if you look at Mallorca and Ibiza and the rest of the Balearic Islands, look at the change over the last 5, 10, 15. Listen, since 2010, so that's 16 years now. Ibiza's unrecognisable. And I had friends over last week who hadn't been here for 10 years. They went like, "What is this place?" It's literally the difference between night and day between between what it was. But as I said, the entrepreneur, Ibiza's got so many entrepreneurs who just change things all the time. The restaurants, the nightlife, the discotheques, as you like to call them. So they change all the time. So I think it's a strength. Sometimes it can be construed as changing too much, but I just think we change with the times, don't we? A very troubling report was it was actually sent to me on Facebook. It was a police report. It wasn't actually in the paper. It subsequently went in the paper. And I've never looked at this, Rich, but we have the blue plated minivans. I'm sure you have them all over. When you worked on that, was it that Dolce & Gabbana thing you worked last year or whatever? What was it?
No, well, I knew people that worked on that. I've worked on other events like that, though.
I remember you telling me there's 50 black minivans with the blue plates everywhere. Since the blue plates have come in, and just give you a bit of a background for anyone listening back at home, the blue plates mean that it's a licensed vehicle for hire. Okay, which so taxis have got them, Ubers have got them, and the minivans have got them as well. So they're everywhere, Rich. They really are. The black vans are just everywhere at the moment. You see them, driving around. Again, another thing, 20 years ago, you'd never see any of them now. They're just personal transportation. Now, what happened this week is the police did a test on the drivers. They reported that 2 drivers had tested positive for cocaine. And I spoke to some friends of mine who are drivers, and they said there's some guys out there just working silly shifts. Cocaine is the new coffee. To keep going. It's not for fun or whatever. It's just to keep them awake, keep them going. Basically, the police have described the incidents as particularly serious because the drivers were providing a public transport service while allegedly under the influence of drugs. And the authorities have stressed that driving after consuming narcotics puts all road users at risk.
Yeah, sure.
And the enforcement's going to go on through the summer. And I'm all for it. I probably was a bit naive about this, Rich, but I put it online and I got a lot of feedback saying, why are you so surprised? It's been happening for years. So the police really need to clamp down because I've got to say, Rich, that the roads at the moment, it's like wacky races out there, Rich. It really is. People are just taking their life in their own hands, which I've never understood. It's madness on the roads at the moment. I mean, not so much at this moment in time because it's a bit quieter this week, but you can just see which way it's going.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if you saw this report, Mike. It's something I mentioned in the intro, but I thought it might be interesting to quickly touch on it. With less than a year to go to the new elections, because we've got new elections coming up at the end of May next year.
Yeah.
That the Partido Popular, which are the sort of centre-right
they're conservatives,
more or less, of the country, are just 2 seats short of a majority here in the Balearics. They've done a bit of a survey. They got 25 seats in 2023.
23, yeah.
Yeah.
It's every 4 years, isn't it? So
every 4 years, yeah. They're now predicted to get 28 seats, and you need 30 seats for an overall majority. It's the PSOE party that have lost quite a lot of the seats. They've gone from 18 down to 14.
This is an opinion poll, though, Rich.
Opinion poll,
yeah.
It is,
right.
yeah. How people are expected to vote next year, basically, which would mean that the PP would, at the moment, still have to rely on Vox, as they do right now, as in a coalition, to form the government. But obviously, it depends how this year goes into next year for the PP to whether they can strike an absolute overall majority, which I think would benefit, in my opinion, the Balearics to have a government, because we've had so many coalitions over the years, and we don't seem to get anywhere with it. Tourist tax is a great example.
I mean, don't start me on the Balearic government, Rich. God, it will be a Marty Moan and a Richie Ram, wasn't it? Because I mean, what a layer of bureaucracy we really don't need or want. You know, that really is. But I mean, I'm with you. Listen, I'm a PP supporter. I ran for council with the PP in 2015, and that's where I'm very good friends with the now Mayor Marcus Serra, because we went in together. So I have to disclose that. But I think the way it's going, I mean, a week's a long time in politics, as we know, but the way it's going, I think the Balearics have got such growth at the moment, Rich. Why would you change it? Why would you change? You know, at the end of the day, there's the only issue is the environmental side and the tourismophobia. We just need to nail that. But I think everyone's in agreement. We just don't know how to do it. That's all. So it's strange. It really is.
What else you got, Mark?
It's that time of the year where the British embassy from Madrid come over. I presume they've been there as well, Rich. I would imagine she's done all the Balearic Islands. I think her name was Sarah Conway, and she's the chief of mission from Madrid. So a seasoned diplomat. She's the muscle from Madrid, I think, mate. Should we call her that?
The muscle from Madrid. Don't they? Well, there goes your MBE, Mark.
Well, I mean, I'm never going to get it. But by the way, when you said that, congratulations to Judge Jules, by the way, for getting his MBE. He's a friend.
Yeah, he did very well. A
great friend of both of ours, and a great friend of the islands.
He is. He's an amazing job, and he's such a nice guy. And listen, if you're ever interviewing Jules, then you'll know how intelligent the guy is. Knows his facts inside out. He's a great guy and a fantastic DJ, of course. You know, and he's an Arsenal fan. I mean, blimey, what more can you have, Mark? Actually, it's a fantastic trio. That. Anyway, there goes your MBA. Anyway,
listen, I've given up on that years ago as well. But no, at the end of the day, you know, she came over, and basically it's quite an interesting talking point here, Rich, because what they're saying is, at the end of the day, they're going to try and sort the problems out before they come over, because, you know, all these strange rules and regulations they're bringing in all the time, aren't they? So it's, you know, like you can't drink in the street, you can't take your top off, or, you know, it's a little bit convoluted. I don't particularly like it, Rich, because I think it just sends out negativity. I think there's better ways to communicate. But the good news is they've got the British embassy from Madrid, and also the councils just looking at it and finding ways that they can solve problems before the problems solve, Rich. And I think that's the big thing about it. It looked like basically they had a very good meeting. It's a guy called, there's a good English name for you, Randy Valbuena. He's our vice consulate from
really,
Randy Valbuena. And
that's an American, isn't it? Surely.
I spoke to him on the phone, but I've never met him. He's our man at the top, represent the British people. So I'm all for it, Matt. I think that, you know, the British government and the Spanish government need to work closely just to spot trouble before it happens, and try and cut it off at the pass, so to speak, Rich, and try and preempt these problems, because unfortunately, Rich, we've had quite a few balcony deaths so far this year.
Really?
Yeah, no, unfortunately. Not British, by the way. There was a Colombian last week. There was a Dutch guy the week before. I just think that any time we put the news out there and try and preempt the problems before they happen is a good thing. So long may it continue.
Rail Mallorca news.
Go on.
Well, listen, this one I found I couldn't believe. Well, I say I can't believe, and I'm still trying to find my ways of sort of trying to say how it happened. But
well, Rich, if you think about it, I won't kind of expose what you're saying. It follows on from what we said last week, doesn't it? Really.
Well, the news broke last week that Martin Demichelis, who just signed a new contract with Real Mallorca, is now leaving the club and going to RB Leipzig in the German Bundesliga. They finished third last year, obviously got Champions League. I imagine the reason he's leaving is because of the money more than anything else. Listen, I don't necessarily blame him, but he just signed a new contract. He got a few players already on board, obviously from the squad. We'd lost a few already, but got a few players from the squad. But interestingly enough, last night, Pablo Ortels, who is one of the sporting directors, of which there are two, he came out on Fibwe, which is a local sort of TV come radio station here, and said that as far as he's aware, Martin Demichelis is still the manager of Real Mallorca. It's all a bit cloak and dagger at the minute, Mark. I saw what's going on.
Now, Fabrizio Romano's announced it. I saw it on Sky News, mate. He's going. You're obviously in denial, Rich, aren't you? So
I'm not in denial. Listen, I'm looking at who we're going to bring in, but yeah. I'm just saying the sporting director said as of yesterday, and it was a program that he did last night on Fibwe, that he is still in, as far as he's concerned, manager of Real Mallorca. I don't think it's going to be the case, Mark. Do you know what I mean? And who's going to bring? There's a guy called Juan Pimienta, who's a name that's been mentioned.
Johnny Pepper.
Oh yeah, he's hot stuff, Mark.
Hello, Rich.
Yeah, you like what he did there. Boom. Yeah.
Exactly what you did there.
Very good. Also, Luis Garcia Plata, who you might remember was a Mallorca manager before, and went on to manage Alaves. And also, actually, an interesting one is a guy called Tony Amor. That's Tony Love to you.
Tony
and I.
Love, yeah.
Yeah, they're all going. He is the number 2 to. He's the Mexican manager. He was our manager as well. For the life of me, I can't remember. It's not Caparros. I can't remember his name. Sorry, but anyway, he's the number 2 to the Mexico's manager, who was Mallorca's manager, and they're looking possibly to bring him over because he's a bit of a Mallorca legend, apparently.
Okay,
so those are the 3 names that I've got.
Such a Mallorca legend, you don't know his name. Fantastic.
No, I know his name, Tony Amor, but I can't remember the manager's name. I'll remember it in a minute.
The thing is, it all gets lost in the small headlines because of the World Cup, isn't it? So you probably could announce many things like Cucurella going to Madrid and McInnes going to Rangers, and no one's interested at the moment, are they? So it's a good week to bury bad news, isn't it?
It is. Javier Aguirre is the
Javier
manager.
Aguirre, yeah, of course.
Yeah, he's the manager of Mexico, and he's number 2. Tony Amor is the guy that they're possibly going to look at as well. So let's see. I was talking to somebody. The playoffs to go up from the
still going on now.
It's still going.
I mean, I saw it.
I mean, it's unbelievable. How long do they want? It
was Almeria versus Malaga. Yeah, I saw it, and I was like, hold on a minute. Surely they're losing players in the World Cup. I mean, it's such bad planning, Rich. It really is, isn't it?
It's ridiculous. They played the first leg last week. It was a 0-0 draw. They played the second leg this weekend coming, and then obviously that decides who goes up. But it's taking so long. It's daft.
I mean, the whole. Don't start me on the Spanish pyramid, Rich. I mean, it's ridiculous. It really is. But anyway, Rich, final story for me now. This is, you do your top 10s and we do like the Fluff Freeman thing as well. This tickled me because, the renaming of the West End, which has really kind of got my hackles up as well. And your favourite rugby player is probably going to be the winner. Barry Dupont, that one.
Oh, that's what we like. Good old Barry.
But it was in the paper this week that there's the few unofficial suggestions were swimming around. So I'm going to go through. Here's the top 8, which I like, actually. So in number 8, we've got Giri Bronx. Now, we all know that Giri means...
Giri Bronx. That's a bit rude.
Giri is obviously foreigner or tourist, and Bronx, we all know what the Bronx is as well. Mm-hmm. In number 7, we've got Mordor. Which is obviously from
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, of course, isn't it? Talking of Lord of the Rings, in 6 we've got Gomorrah. There you go.
Yeah,
which, I think he's Lord of the Rings as well, if I'm not mistaken. I like this one. 5 we've got Sir Hangover. Yeah, it's a hangover, which is very funny. Number 4, we've got The Walking Dead. Okay, these are names for the West End, which have been suggested, I'm sure, by some locals. In 3, we've got the Bermuda Triangle, which I think is probably, it's not really a triangle, it's more of a road. In number 2, we've got Lost and Found. And in number 1, we've got the Last Orders District. None of them will win, but I just thought it tickled me that the people are suggesting that. It's, as I say, it was like Boaty McBoatface, wasn't it? That's our version of that. So I think Barry Duponnet's going to win, but I've ranted about it enough. I've upset all the politicians who think it's the best idea ever, and I think it's the most ridiculous thing in the world when you've got a name called the West End, which everyone knows, and you've got, and not just that, Rich, you've got to do it in Catalan. There you go. Progress, of course.
And that's why they call us the grumpy old gits from Mallorca and Ibiza, Mark.
Yeah, of course they do, mate.
That's it.
And long may it continue, Richie.
Exactly. I would call it Moss Isley. There you go.
Moss Isley, yeah. Right, next week, Rich, I've just had an idea, right, because an article just popped up about the solar eclipse. So I think we should do a dedicated 10-minute podcast on the solar eclipse soon. What do you reckon?
Yeah, fine.
So can you find an astronomer for me, please? So
Patrick Moore's no longer with us.
No, he's no longer with us. Or is it Brian?
Yeah.
Brian Cox could probably do a job as well, couldn't he? But so if there's any astronomers out there, young or old, and you want to come on and do a little bit of background on the eclipse, then let us know about it, because it's people are getting very excited. 12th of August, the solar eclipse. The Balearics will be the centre of the universe. It's only going to last 1 minute, apparently, Rich. It lasts a minute. The memories could last for years. There you go. That's a nice little soundbite to finish, isn't it? So,
nice. And as you used to say in Ibiza, Mark, it was the best 60 seconds you've ever had. There you go.
Said that a few times, pal, to be fair. Anyway, on that note, I think we'll leave it there, Rich. Always a pleasure, mate.
You.
And you,
Take
buddy.
care.
Listen, great to see you, mate. Speak to you soon.
Bye, mate.
Make me dance.